exactly the problem that, listen to me, I want you to keep talking the way that you're talking, because of people like you, it's going to, hey, excuse me, you know what, let me finish. Because of people like you, and your rhetoric, you know what's going to happen? J.D. Vance is going to be the president next. Tulsi Gabbard's going to be the president. Eric Trump's.
Things get absolutely heated on the Piers Morgan show when Vinny from the PBD podcast absolutely goes off on this lunatic lefty Joe Walsh, who accuses Tulsi Gabbard of being a Russian asset. Joe Walsh thought he could come on here and push more of these lies that Tulsi Gabbard is a Putin puppet, a Russian asset, if you will. But Vinny and Dave Smith and some of these other panelists were not having it. Let's see Vinny absolutely explode on this Joe Walsh.
To Jesse Waters at Fox News.
He's already leading. He's already engaging with so many of these world leaders around the world on the phone constantly. And he's showing the kind of leadership that the American people voted for.
Well, joining the panel now is the host of The Social Contract, former Republican presidential candidate and Congressman Joe Walsh, who says that Gabbard is a Putin cheerleader. Well, Joe, welcome back to Uncensored. You think she's a total disaster. Why?
You can't trust her. This country cannot trust her with our intelligence. If I'm Pierce, if I'm one of our allies, there's no way if she's appointed, I'm sharing my intelligence with America. Look, I've said before, she's at best a Putin cheerleader. At worst, she's a Putin asset. For the past decade, she has done nothing but defend Vladimir Putin and parrot Putin and Russian propaganda. I mean, again, there's a list. I could take 30 minutes and go through the list. That's a humongous concern. She's not on our side. She's clearly on Russia's side.
She literally fought for America. She served her country.
I was just going to say that. I was like, she literally served our country. Like, what is this dude talking about? That's a whole, wasn't the whole, like, she's a Russian asset? Wasn't that like a whole other thing that was started by Hillary Clinton? Like, they were kind of mad at her because of the 2020 election, about how she went in there. She kind of made, like, Kamala look bad, pretty much eliminated her from the race. Like, it was after the 2020 election is when they really got upset at her. This is what I pretty much remember off the top of my head, that this was a whole started again by Hillary Clinton. It's always the Russia thing. Hillary Clinton is the one that also started the Russia thing when it came to the 2016 election. It just always goes back to Russia. Whoever is bad, wow, let's link them to Russia somehow. So yeah, I don't know what the heck this dude is talking about. Maybe you guys do. Sound off in the comments below. Give this video a like. Subscribe to my content if you enjoy content like this. Let's continue.
America. How can you say she's not on our side?
She's still up here. She's still in the military. She's still in the military. Joe, first of all, this is the guy that says he's not you're not a Democrat. I remember this guy who was on the PBD podcast. You are exactly the problem that, listen to me, I want you to keep talking the way that you're talking, because of people like you, it's going to, hey, excuse me, you know what, let me finish. Because of people like you, and your rhetoric, you know what's going to happen? J.D. Vance is going to be the president next. Tulsi Gabbard's going to be the president. Eric Trump's going to be the president. We are going to keep having Republican presidents because of people like you still talking Russia shit, Joe. Get over it. It's over. You're talking about an active military girl. She's a lieutenant colonel in the army, and you're saying she's an asset. You're an idiot.
Yes.
You're an idiot. And people are tired of your bullshit.
Okay, let him respond. Vinny,
change the record.
Let him respond, Vinny.
Do me a favor,
change the record, bro.
Instead of attacking me, attack what I said about Tulsi Gabbard. For a decade,
she's a Russian asset.
Done nothing but parrot Putin. Address that. Address that.
But but Joe, I'll address that. Okay, I'm going to come to. Hang on. I'm going to come to Gillian in a second. All I would say, Joe, is I get an email each week from Ian Bremner, one of the guys I most respect in the political world. He's very balanced, gives very insightful weekly emails about what's going on in the news. He said he's seen absolutely no evidence that she has ever been anything even approaching a Russian asset. It's a total myth of the Democrat side to suggest she ever has been.
Pierce, you're going to ignore 10 years of what she said?
Well, she's allowed to have she's allowed to have an opinion.
I would love for him, I mean, maybe he does in a second, but I would love to him, love for him to bring up a single example. That's not just, it's the same way. Like, I don't know if she's legitimately backed up Russia. I highly doubt it. But I'm pretty sure what's going on is it's one of these things where it's like, you know how Donald Trump will say like a nice thing about like some kind of other world leader, like, Russia, Putin is this or that, like something that's, just not so bad, not something that's just, Putin evil and the worst. And then they're like, oh, Donald Trump, he's in Putin's pocket. He is Putin's puppet. I'm pretty sure it was something like that where Tulsi Gabbard was just kind of saying something like, oh, well, I don't think we should go to Russia with Russia, or I don't know, just something that was like, Putin, just like not even complimentary, just something where it's like a fair opinion. That's what I'm looking for. Something that is just a fair opinion of Putin, sorry, of Putin and Russia. And pretty sure it's something along those lines. But because of that whole rumor and myth, like Piers mentioned, that she is this asset for Russia, well, now the Democrats are running along with it. Now it's Russia, Russia, Russia. It's always Russia, Russia, Russia. But what do you guys think? Comment section.
Well, hang on. She's allowed to have an opinion about Ukraine. She can have an opinion about Ukraine.
No, of course she
and
is.
You may not agree with that opinion. And by the way, I don't agree with her opinion about Ukraine. But she's allowed to have it. It doesn't make her a Russian asset.
No, Pierce, exactly. She's allowed to have her opinion. Donald Trump has picked her to head up all our intelligence efforts in this country.
Yeah, but there is no evidence that she would be a threat to leaking that intelligence to Russia. It's a myth.
Not at all.
All right, let me go to Gillian.
She's either a dupe or an asset because everything she's done the past 10 years and said has been exactly what Russia would want her to say or do. So she's either an asset or a dupe.
That's the dumbest standard ever. Who cares? If I said Saddam Hussein doesn't have weapons of mass destruction, that might be exactly what Saddam Hussein wants me to say. That doesn't mean anything. You see, Pierce, this is the trick here. And I'm sorry, I know you want to go to Julian, but the trick is that the same way they used to say Trump-Russia collusion, they wouldn't say Donald Trump's in a conspiracy with the Russians. You see, because that's actually meets the criminal code. And then so you just say collusion because what does that even mean? They could have had a phone call. Okay, they're colluding, but that's totally legal. So when you say she's a Russian asset, you give this wink and a nod like she's a traitor, when what it means, and Pierce, you disagree with me on this topic too, but listen, the argument is that there were 1 million off-ramps to the war in Ukraine, and that the West chose to not take any of them, and that this war could have been avoided, and it could have been negotiated away. Now, the idea that if someone makes this argument, your counter to that is to say that you're a Putin asset. This is so, first off, it's just despicable and it's profoundly stupid. It makes absolutely no sense at all. So listen, at least during the original McCarthyism period, at least during the House Committee on American Activities, at least back then, there were some communists. Nobody is loyal to Vladimir Putin. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
You're entitled. No, Tulsi Gabbard, of course, is entitled to her opinion as a citizen of this country. But if for 10 years your opinion is identical to Russian propaganda, we are entitled to question that. And someone like
you're saying nothing, and I'm entitled to make the point that that's the dumbest argument I've ever heard in my life.
You both made your points. Let me bring in.
I mean, yeah, obviously it is the dumbest opinion that I've also ever heard, and good on Vinny for calling out Joe Walsh. It's always going to be good when you see Vinny's face getting redder and redder, and it's like he's about to almost literally explode. And that's what happened here. Vinny absolutely went off on Joe Walsh, and it's true. Dave Smith, who I'm familiar now with. I did another video and Dave Smith was there and people were like, oh, I can't believe you don't know who Dave Smith is. And it's like, oh, sorry, I don't know every single person on earth. But yeah, Dave Smith, Vinny, absolutely correct. Just because if you want to end the war in Ukraine or you don't want to send billions, because that's the tally up. That's the tally right now in terms of all the money that we sent to Ukraine. Billions of dollars to Ukraine for this seemingly, the war has been going for 2 years now? 2 years. We've sent billions of dollars. Where's that money going to? They haven't been able to end this war and fend off Russia with $2 billion. Listen, I don't know how much money Russia has. I don't think they have billions of dollars. I don't think they're as rich as us. So, like, where's all that money going to? And that's not even getting into all the human lives that have been lost in this war. It's been ridiculous. I mean, a lot of, let's stop the lives. Let's stop the lives being lost in this needless war. That is why it's good that Trump is going to be back in office, so he could end it and get these guys to negotiate on something and stop the millions of lives that are being lost, and stop all of the billions of dollars that are being sent to Ukraine. Just by having that opinion, it doesn't make you a Russian asset or a Putin puppet that these Democrats like to label people that have opinion with. I don't think Tulsi is a Russian asset, and I think these Democrats and these lefties are totally wrong on this. But what do you guys think? Sound off in the comments below. If you like to see Piers Morgan hosting more panels of wild out there lefties getting schooled by us right-wingers, I have a whole playlist for you in the top right-hand corner.